Hip politics, baby.
Man, this is fun. No, this is all right. Yes, cameras are rolling, man. This is fun. No, I mean, I appreciate y'all. Even
when you come on my
this.
podcast, you can get the Georgetown Cup.
I don't know if I call this a podcast.
Always bragging. Like, let's get into the rap and the hip hop and the pop.
I don't know if I get this as a podcast, but you know, the Capital Cipher. Like, I feel like a couple friends, you know, getting together.
And talking about two of your favorite things.
It's hip hop and politics. I mean, but this is funny.
So let's get into it. All right.
No, are we getting into it? No, but I want to thank you guys and for all the listeners out here. Let me go. 3, 2. All right, welcome back to another episode of Capital Cipher. It's your boy, Mr. Cameron Calvin, a.k.a. Mr. Hip Politics, a.k.a. Mr. 216
you got
to the
so
202.
There for a second.
Yeah.
I was like,
No.
is this the Quiet Storm or what?
No, this is what we doing. Because
well,
this is remember, it's always an audio and a visual experience. Thank you to everybody who's watching. You're on YouTube, social media, wherever. But I had to get a couple of my friends together because, like, it's World War III, and usually if somebody literally texted me, said World War III, and I was like, what?
That text is going to come from one of us first, by the way.
Exactly.
It's going to be one of us that's going to hit you up first.
Exactly. I was like, dang, I thought I would have got a better heads up. And it's like, no, rap, like, in the rap and hip-hop world, but this is a new show, a new opportunity for me to just talk to my friends, Capital Cipher, like when we're sitting down on the couch, being able to just kind of chop it up around issues in the culture, but also in politics. Like, I think we're sitting on a gold mine of folks who are really real human beings, really from all over the country, really tapped into the culture, but we work in the halls of Congress. We work in the halls of the White House. We work on campaigns with all these big companies and foreign leaders. And we're like, and I think this was an opportunity. There's with the world in upheaval, it's like that's already enough pressure for us to begin with. But now, why is hip hop upheaval? And a story. I want to introduce my two guests, the two folks on the mic tonight. First, you have Ashley Etienne, one of my closest friends, but also probably one badass motherfucker who's, the first woman who's ever been the communications director, both to the Speaker of the House and the Vice President. First woman Speaker of the House, first black and woman Vice President, amongst other things. You see her on all the TVs and on the socials, in the magazines. But just Ashley, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And then
I'm coming out, and I love that you're a part of that effort.
Yes, and then a late but welcomed and needed addition.
Yes.
Because it's like this is exactly what I want. This is exactly what the people need. The streets need. They need the person I get my style cues from.
Stop.
Legendary in the culture and the sneaker game, but Mr. Michael Reed. Michael, what's your exact title now? Because I was about to say you've worked for all types of leadership.
He is Mr. Capitol Hill.
Yeah,
Mr. Capitol Hill.
Been fortunate to have a lot of different opportunities on the Hill. And
so put like
give the spiel, right? Give
if you know, you know.
Yeah,
He's a beast in his own right.
He's a beast.
And is one half of one of the illest power couples, no matter the race, definitely in the black community out here in D.C. Yes. But also just a dude I know would tap in with the culture.
I mean, because he was like, first, before I could do anything, I got to run it by my wife. Like, that was our conversation last night. I was like,
you're right.
Run it by your wife? He was like, listen, I get it. She's a smarter end of this dynamic duo.
She's the boss.
Absolutely.
She's the boss.
Speaking of, let's get into the conversation, please. Speaking of the boss. So, Cam.
I'm listening.
But are you engaged?
I'm engaged. I just want to make sure the sound is...
Okay, let's get into it. Can we get into it?
Can we get into it?
It's a nice segue.
Kick it?
From yes.
Can I kick it? All right.
Yes, you can.
No, what's going on?
So the boss is the nice transition. Okay, so listen. So typically, I hit you up early in the morning with some scripture to like help you get your mind and your day right.
No, that's much needed. We started that in like campaign season, but like getting up at like 7 in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest.
So anyway, nevertheless, so the other morning though, I woke up and I was like, "Is this the end of the world? Why?" This is like a little dramatic, right?
It was.
what is going on? So I picked the phone and called you rather than texting you. And this was like early, maybe about 7:30.
When you call me that early, I'm like, what major in the world is happening?
Literally,
Like, what do we need to do?
Again,
It's like,
if you're getting the signal in the call that the world is falling apart, it's coming from one of the two of us. So I called you early in the morning because it felt like the world was falling apart around me. I'm like, why is all of rap music coming for Drake? What is going on? I felt like I woke up in the middle of this war that had been like raging for some time, and I feel like I'm pretty plugged in, but I was like, what the hell is going on?
It's like Marvel's Civil War out here.
Literally. And I was like, if anyone's going to know, it's going to be Cam. So let me get on the phone with Cam. He's going to give me the real quick skinny. So like, what is going on? What is the backstory? Give me the context.
I think it's funny because you represent probably what the average American who's
That's
like, I
what I'm
like
saying.
Drake, I like a little Future,
I like Rick Ross.
I like a
Why
little
is
Rick
everybody
Ross. I like a little Kendrick.
I love Pusha T, Kendrick. I'm good with all of them.
Why aren't they friends?
Why are we
aren't they-
fighting? Right. Especially like Lemon Pepper Freestyle, one of my favorites.
Like, some of my favorite songs they work together on. Then if
Literally,
Future and
and
Drake have
bombs
an
are
album
made, and they're not
together,
even gunshots anymore. Like they're bombs. So tell me, like, what's the backstory? What's your perspective on what's happening?
So we got to walk through quickly, like the shots. Like there have been shots for years.
Okay,
Like, years, yeah. Kendrick threw the
Subliminal.
Control verse. He did a verse. This might have been 6 years ago now, plus maybe, on a Big Sean album. It was like a single, but he called out like everyone from Eminem to J. Cole and Mac Miller and all different like lyricists and saying like, I don't like basically I want competition. He didn't call them and like get into dissing them, but he called them. There's been rumors if you stay tapped
because
in.
like competition is good for business, right?
But there's
like,
also been rumors of like back in like dealings and shots, and when you start talking about that level of the music game, different people are pushed out of probably multi-million-dollar opportunities. Like I'm gonna choose you or you. We'll never know about that. But when you start thinking about that's happening, there's been perceived shots when people start talking about like Kendrick didn't really come out and do a lot musically during George Floyd, but he's perceived to be that type of artist. There's always been a little like back and forth. Then there's what this really started was Future and Metro not fucking with Drake. That's really what it.
Okay, so why are they not?
The whole album,
like,
they literally
they had some
built
great-
a whole album, 2 albums. I Don't Trust You, I Still Don't Trust You.
3 discs.
3 discs. All like, I mean, it's great. It was genius marketing because it could mean anybody in any kind. People feel that way, like we don't trust you, but it's also a secret, like consistent diss track. And like the beauty of the Future Metro album, like this is Future and Metro coming back together, and they've done like classic songs, classic
definitely,
mixtapes, but every feature on there is either a person who we knew or now are like perceiving to know had an issue with Drake. Weeknd is on like 2 of the songs. So Weeknd and Drake have had back and forth over Toronto, and they've officially have fallen out, stemming from years where Drake's tried to sign Weeknd and take all his rights and publishing, and a lot of back and forth when Weeknd was blowing up. So Weeknd's on the album. Rick Ross is on the album. People have perceived Rick Ross last I don't know if it's baby mother or just his girlfriend, but he had a public girlfriend. They publicly broke up, and then she's on IG stories with a black envelope with a gold owl.
And so when you told me
With a
this, I'm
gold
like, listen,
OVO.
does this come down to like
women and
some
money,
girls right?
and money.
Like, I know
Then
wars have been fought
Future,
over.
there's talking about sharing and messing with a different same girl. Future and Drake were supposed to do another collab album. That would have been rumored for years. They did one, went #1. That's a big money play. Instead, he goes and does one with 21 Savage, so it kind of negates that. But this is all speculation / like you hear about it. I was like, I never talked to Future. I never talked to Drake.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to their managers. I mean, you talk to people who are in the camps, and you hear about it. It's been on the internet. It's been reported. Everyone from academics to Joe Budden to all your top podcasts and people sharing. So all that chatter is a confluence of things to where now this album drops, and then Kendrick really drops the first diss. That's where I would catch it up, and where Kendrick, and like that, you could have,
I love Like That, by the way. The beat is just sick.
The beat, it was the number one song in the country for 3 weeks. It's still, as we record this, it's still the number one song in the country. Like, and Beyonce has dropped. Beyonce has dropped during this time. I think it's going to get overtaken this weekend when Taylor Swift, but for 2 or 3 weeks, it was the number one song in the number one song in the country, and a Beyonce album has dropped.
No, I get it. I mean,
so it's
a Beyonce
song.
country album has dropped.
It's a huge, right?
a historic Beyonce album has also dropped.
Right, punctuation. Like I said, Beyonce. I'm like, I get it. Yes.
So I don't know. I maybe kick it like that's where when he comes at Drake talks about his music is whack. He compares himself to Prince versus Mike Jackson, like.
And then the remix
said,
of
motherfucker
that.
Big 3.
And then I thought the remix of that Pusha T's lines were pretty dope.
No, yeah. So I think that catches us up, and then it goes from J. Cole drops a diss record, then deletes it, apologizes.
Rolls it back.
What was that about?
Rolled it back.
And how is that relevant though?
It is relevant because like I think if there was about to be a diss, it was kind of like sides were forming. When the Metro album came out and that song came out, it immediately like publicly
but pause it. Let me pause you. Why everyone against Drake? Because that's how it feels and seems. And then it also feels like nobody is backing up Drake.
I think it comes with like winning and like
it's just primitive. Like he's at the top of the throne. Everybody's coming for it.
So I'll kick it back to you. The politics is like who has the most enemies? Think about that in politics.
Literally,
who has the most enemies in politically?
Whoever's at the top.
Exactly. Trump and Biden, Pelosi. Akeem, like who has the most enemies when you're at the top? Who has the most? Better question: who's got the most secret enemies? Like, I'm not out here like I hate you. They have public ones, but then they also I hate you, or is it they're quietly behind the scenes trying to?
So it's a compliment ultimately to Drake that everybody's coming from because that means he's at the top.
Yeah,
is that
of
course
what we think? Of course it is.
So I mean, would you agree he's at the top? I mean, or
no? I mean, in terms of rap and sales and relevance, Drake has always been Drake's been at the top for a very long time. I mean, you just look at the number of records he sells. I mean, I know that's not everything in terms of who's the best or what people should like, but it does mean something when you over here in the business of selling records, and he sells the most records.
For like almost 15 years.
The most number one singles in history of any artist, not just rap, is Drake.
Okay, but all right. So I accept all of that. So why is
Over
it when
Michael
I'm hanging
Jackson,
out with
mind you.
like my guy friends and like, okay, now don't judge me. Like I'm still on Pandora. It's really embarrassing, but it's fine, you know. Nevertheless,
people still listen to Pandora. I guess
it generates it for me. It makes my life.
Do you have a
easier.
desktop computer as well?
Literally, I do.
Does it have like the different the tower and then it goes into the monitor?
Let's stay focused. Okay.
CompuSeek.
So you're gonna make me lose my point.
My bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right?
Continue.
Don't let me lose my point. So, nevertheless, so we're talking about Drake, right? But every time I'm like hanging out with my guy friends and I like put on, Drake radio, I get like this. Yes, I get like this, like huge sense of disappointment, like this sigh of like, really, is this what we're doing? So I'm just saying, like, so he's at the top, but why is it that? Okay, all right. Now let's get into the what really made me call you. It's that Rick Ross called him a white boy. Like I thought that was aggressive. Like I was.
So let's get to that point right now.
Taken aback by
like
it.
that comes out, people, it's all the chatter. Drake, you got to come back. Drake, you got to come back. A week later, 2 weeks later, J. Cole drops his album, I Might Delete Later, which is like a pre-album, like a mixtape before his album he's been teasing for 2 years, The Fall Off. So it's fire. Like that joint has some first voice you hear is Young Dro.
Right.
He has a song with Young Dro and Ari Lennox, like pricey. It's on some crazy beats. Cameron's on there. But the last song is 7 Minute Drill, where he is going straight at Kendrick. Talks about Kendrick's album, second album was like people was gassed up, people didn't like it. Like he's saying a bunch of things like you only come out, we're only talking about you because you come out when you beef, like otherwise we wouldn't be discussing you. He's going at him a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
Drops it on a Friday.
Yeah.
Right before his Dreamville, his big festival in his hometown. By Sunday night at closing, as he's the closing artist, he gets on stage and gives a huge apology. And it was like, yeah, I didn't even feel that in my soul. So the only comeback to Kendrick gets retracted in 48 hours. And he literally deleted it off of streaming services. Like, you have to have downloaded or bought it to have it right now. Like, to find it on the internet. Like, he's scrubbing it off of YouTube and the internet. So now everybody's really looking at Drake because they're like, all right, Drake, what are you going to say? Kendrick came after kind of you and J. Cole. J. Cole said no.
He backed out, right.
And then a week later, last Saturday, you hear all the leaks of like, yo, a Drake track leak. And then it's debuted, and for a whole week, it's a leaked track. It's not even on streaming. But that's where he's dissing and comes back at Future, comes back at Kendrick several times, from talking about his shoe size, pipsqueak, all of this. He drops all of that. And then he drops a couple lines about, that Saturday, he drops a couple lines about Rick Ross. 3 hours later, Rick Ross's DJ, while DJ Academics, one of the biggest streamers in the hip hop game, is live on his stream, he gets a call and is like, yo, check your text. And then Rick Ross drops his diss track where he calls him white boy. And then, have you seen the cover art where it's like a white man with a big ass Drake?
Yeah, literally, yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want to get into. I want to like unpack that for a minute. Okay, so my setup was, when I tell my guy friends Drake radio, they're like, sigh, disappointment, right? Like, completely let down these guys. Mm-hmm. So then you get Rick Ross, who's calling him a white boy. My question to y'all is like, to me that feels like it stings on a whole nother level, like, because it's such a layered phrase, especially given, you know, Drake is biracial, Drake's not from the United States, he's not from the hood, he ain't driving a Chevy, like all of these things. So anyway, so I'm curious what you think about,
I don't know if
that strategy of calling him white boy, because you go back to Pusha T's lines, right? Pusha T brings in Adonis, he brings in, you know, Adonis's mother, right?
I think
Which
we're
are like
talking apples and oranges there, because Pusha T is not while he's a classic legendary artist, he's not in the conversation. He's very rarely putting out music. He's not doing anything relevant. Even with Rick Ross, his biggest hits are behind him. He's still putting out music, still jumping on.
No, I'm just talking about the insult.
No, so I'm saying
right?
The insult, Pusha T's line don't hit because he's not as big. So it didn't, the megaphone, like, you have to really be tapped into them for it to, the genius of Rick Ross is he's got a much bigger social media following. Mm-hmm. He's constantly out there. Mm-hmm. And he's known to be a funny dude. You're
comparing Ross to Push.
Push.
All right.
Which I'm not doing at all.
No, but that's why the white boy is sticking. It feels more visceral.
I do think visceral is a good term for it. 100%.
Visceral is it? But and I felt it was very visceral. And he says it. He emphasizes it. He punctuates it. And I'm asking, you know, okay, all right, let's get into politics. Let me relate this to, because this is hip politics. Let me relate it to politics. When you're in active war, right? Everybody has a doctrine, right? We grew up like with the Colin Powell doctrine. It was understood at one point to be that when you spot an enemy target, you overwhelm them with force. Pusha T, everybody coming, i.e. everybody coming for Drake, right? And what I was saying is Pusha T is coming at him in very typical ways. I'm going after your kid. I'm going after your girl, like very typical stuff. And I thought Rick's was visceral, very focused and pointed. What I've learned about the Colin Powell doctrine, now that I've done a lot more research on it, his point was like, it's not even about overwhelming force. It's about going right at the source. And so for me, when he called him a white boy, that felt like he was going right at the source. You're in active war with somebody. I mean, like, listen, talking about your girl is not insulting anybody. I mean, you letting that roll off of you. He's had 15 or 20 since then, or whatever it is. That's an exaggeration to make a point. But to call him white boy, for me, felt like, oh, wow, he's coming at him in a way that's gotta hit a chord with Drake in a way that some of those other insults don't. Anyway, go. What do you think?
No, I agree with that. I also would say this, though, that the white boy attack is a attack that happens in the black community and has happened for a very long time outside of rap, beyond rap.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Like, it's a common refrain in the hood to try to disparage a black person by calling them white.
If
So
you're
what are
doing
you
smart,
saying when
I was
you're doing
calling a
it
white
now?
boy sometimes.
Okay,
So
but-
like, you acting white, you white
acting
boy.
white,
And so
yeah.
what are you
it's-
saying though?
No, so what he's saying is like Drake. When you really think about what Drake is doing, because like I'm today I'm kind of repping both. Like I got my Drake OVO hat on, but I got my free band gang.
Is that's like wearing Adidas with some
Nike.
Jordans, right? Like you're in
Checks over stripes.
violation.
I've got my.
You're in
Drake-
violation.
I don't know, because I'm split. Like I think
Yeah.
because the music, what the music means versus what it means culturally. Because I think with Drake, going at him at the white boy, like talking about his nose, the way he looks in his appearance, you can tell Drake has had like he's an overconfident person now and has grown to that. But when you go back and look at early pictures of him like coming out of Degrassi, when even his first Cash Money, he looked very like Kanye-esque, like a button up with a hat and maybe one chain on. Like he started getting into his swag like 2-3 albums in, and then like when he really built his own merch line, then now in the last several years as he's been at the top, like he'll dress however he wants, like with high fashion, low fashion, whatever he wants at this point. And now that he has like a Nike brand and all these, and his clothing line is matured, when you think about what he was doing, like he was trying to fit in, like he's backed by gangsters, but he had to grow into like,
His blackness.
he will
Is
grow
that-
into that.
is that what you're gonna call it?
Are you gonna call like gangster blackness? Like
No,
I think
no. It's beyond that. You said swag, you said style, you said sense of self. Like all of that is can also be defined.
like he grew into rap star, but he also grew into like a gangster. Because like think about the types of his biggest backers are Jay Prince and Birdman, who come super from the streets, super hood. Very powerful now in a legitimate way, but using tactics and energy mired in like a kingpin street mentality. And that's who he's learning from. His direct boss of boss are those people. Like that's what he sees early. And you see that transition in his look, his appearance. So Rick Ross got with him then and saw that maturation. So I'm pretty sure when you start thinking about the futures, the Rick Rosses, the types of people, the Pusha T's, niggas who are really street through and through, who don't like him, it's like, you a white boy, like you are, I'm not just even talking about your race, I'm talking about your like total detachment from being real, from being tough, from being strong.
because you use the word authentic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
It is a matter. It is a matter of authenticity. I didn't mean to interrupt you on that. It is a matter of authenticity, but I think it's a very similar argument for when Rick calls Drake white boy to when people was going at Rose for being Officer Ricky, right? For being corrections officer, for being a cop, right? It's the same thing. Like, oh, you're not really authentic. You say you pushing weight. You say you the man in the streets.
It's like
and
it's
you
like
but
to
you a
Colin
cop.
Powell's, to Colin Powell's point. It's like the very source of your weakness, your greatest vulnerability. And when you're in the midst of war, you go after your enemies. The source, that great.
I think that's why they're going at the things that hurt them most, because it's not much. You can't hit him with girls, so if anything, he's hitting them with girls.
Well, he makes light of himself on the issues
yeah,
of girls.
I mean, and
Right.
he has no woman, like he
Right,
has
yeah.
nobody, so he has no
So
real
let's
allegiance.
let's break
Are
down.
we, also, at some point in time, can we talk about women as a commodity in rap? I don't know. Maybe it's a different podcast. Maybe it's a different podcast.
Yeah, it is totally.
Because we're
But I
going to
did
talk about
point
that
out
at some
we're
point
always
in
the
time.
first victim. We're
Absolutely.
always when in a rap beef, it's always the women that get shot first. But okay, but let me just break down a couple. If you can humor me a little longer, break down another layer of this thing here. This idea of the white boy. So we've had as a nation, and this gets back to even our politics, the most traumatic decade, in the last almost generation of our generation. The murder of George Floyd comes to mind. I mean, that was an intense time. That was an entire global movement, uprising about the issue of Black lives, and specifically Black men, but definitely Black women as well. Okay, so when we talk about, Drake as a white boy. I think back on that time, and like, I'm a huge Drake fan, but I don't recall him ever doing any and y'all correct me because y'all are the hip hop heads, any conscious rap album or track or anything that felt like he was engaged, tapped into.
No, well,
the plight, not just in, because you could be of culture, but the plight of the culture. Anyway, so I just wonder if if that also gives credence to this fact that he's not one of us, he's one of them, he's white.
Drake is always going to be vulnerable to those type of attacks. One, he's half white.
Yeah.
He is Canadian. No matter, even if he was from the blackest
part of
Canada, the projects, the
hood. I think that's different. If he was black, if he was not biracial, dark skinned black, like there's gangsters in Canada.
No, I recognize that. But him being biracial and from Canada, and no one in Canada, man. Like don't know.
Well, and he was also an actor turned rapper. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
like he had a different trajectory.
I think his role. That's when you start. So also when you think about the visceral nature of like, another thing Ross said was like, you ain't never owned a Chevy. Mm-hmm. To me, that was like the cultural insight of like telling a black man who got all this money, you never owned a Chevy. He's basically saying you never got an old school. Because like when you think about like, oh, if I win the lottery one day, you want to know your Ferrari or Lamborghini or Bentley or Rolls Royce, but you probably also dreamed about getting an old school, whether it's a muscle car, whether it's a Chevy, a box car, something on Dayton, something on 30-inch rims, like it's just a black man's dream when you go to any
so
hood
you're
in
basically
America.
saying, I mean, people always question Drake's blackness.
They've always,
of course,
and will always continue to.
And they always will.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, because ultimately we all know that blackness is given to you. It's not something you choose. If you, like in this country, one drop makes you black.
Sure. But it also comes at a cost.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what we saw at that time. I mean, do you think that the expectation that he does do something? Because this was, Talib Kweli's point, right? Which is like, it's just commercial product you're throwing out, right?
And I think
you're oversaturating the market with this commercial garbage. He's never really said anything of any great substance, and that was.
But Rick Ross, what substance has Rick Ross
I'm just saying,
talked about?
No. Even if you just take Rick out of it,
he inspired me to get money and live opulent.
But I'm saying, should there be an expectation from Drake?
I will say that I'll push back a little bit, not to be a Drake like stan or Drake like over supporter.
Right. I mean, you do have on his sneakers.
I mean, this was more for the pod. Like I was about to wear the whole Future outfit and then rock the hat and sneakers, but I decided against that. But I will push back. Like he's done major acts of like service, like. But you could also argue it was for commercialism. Like God's Plan, that's really actually like a braggadocious like song when you listen to the lyrics, and he's even talked about it, and it's like people take that, oh, that's my positive super song, but that's because they saw the video where he said, hey, I got $980,000 budget to do a video. Instead, let's give it away. And then he filmed himself like giving scholarships and the firemen's and buying people's groceries and giving money to like struggling mothers. But he did it for a music video that has 1 billion views.
That's the philanthropic version of making it rain in the strip club.
Exactly.
Yeah, but also too, it's you're not identifying with one thing. You're everything, right? And so I can feel like I'm doing. Like that's my gift, and I'm not associating or aligning with one particular effort over another. I mean, which is kind of safe territory. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like I have an expectation that if you make and have that much money and that much prominence and significance and that stature,
I don't know.
owe it to.
Drake's done charity. You don't think Drake's giving away
I'm saying your money.
dollars?
I'm saying your music, not just your.
Do you?
Are we only holding Drake to that standard?
No, I mean I love the
because I mean we look at every rapper in this beef, right? Other than J. Cole, who clearly has a conscious streak. I mean Kendrick Lamar has a level of consciousness to him. What consciousness has Future ever done?
Okay, I'm just saying.
He's one of the most toxic rappers in the history of rap. Fire
No, my point
Fire.
is they're not.
Love. What's the song he did with Rihanna? That love song. That was pretty.
That's not conscious.
That's very conscious about love.
And by the way, don't talk about the baby daddy
and all
like
the
that,
songs.
okay?
Drunk in Love.
Okay,
Drunk
but
in Love.
but here's the point though. No one's questioning their blackness. I'm just saying, when someone's questioning your blackness, don't you at some point sort of overcompensate in some way?
I think Drake is already overcompensating.
He's overcompensating with
That's what Cam was talking about
saying.
earlier. He's been overcompensating.
Oh, got it.
Like, I'm moving around like the mob. Like, he talks about himself like he's John Gotti. Like,
Drake used to be the R&B dude for Young Money. That's how he came up.
that had crossover.
Yeah,
Love.
he would
Think about
sing rap.
I'll never find my
Sing hooks.
loving. I'll never
I
find.
love that song.
That's how
Like,
he came up.
but that's his first. Like, what his first hit? He
That's
and
why I
Kanye.
fell in love. I mean, it's
He
like,
and Kanye.
yeah, but I get your point.
And the part of the reason why I was able to come up because he had his own lane in that. To shout out to Wayne.
You're
but
the
Wayne
fucking best.
Wayne saw
You're
that
my
to be in the
everything.
So
future
why
of
did
rap.
he even respond then? Because usually when you're at the top and like people are firing shots, if you feel
Because you
comfortable
can't
in
see
there.
weakness.
But how about
The
a text
blueprint
chain
has
with
been
your
a-
mom? That's like ultimate weakness, right?
No, I
And
think
you're like,
he's
"Aw."
being. No, so now that's where I think we can't be in the old school way of like this is just about records. Like that's not the world we live in anymore.
Right.
Like where you have to hurry up and run the Hot 97 in New York, or if you're in LA, like go on like the power station, whatever it is, and drop a freestyle, or hurry up and put a mixtape out. Takeover comes out, it's on an album, and then it takes months because you had to press up albums and had to be a rollout. It's another album that comes out, and then Ether comes out. Maybe then I'll run up to the radio station. Like we're not that like we're living in a multimedia, multi-screen. I'm living in a now moment. There's like between social media, TikTok, Instagram, the online chatter. If you Google right now, the way I learned about this is watching reaction videos. Reaction videos are doing numbers, tens of thousands, hundreds of people who have 2,000 subscribers are getting 100,000 views just doing reaction videos to these songs on YouTube because it is now a fully multimedia experience. So the reason why Rick Ross he'll drop and maybe drop lines other places, but I'm going heavy on Instagram because this is increasing my Instagram. And if you look at Rick Ross, he's got 40 Instagram stories a day. 10 of them are Drake and make you watching them. The other 40 are all my other products from Wingstop to Alizé to the medical doctor app I'm promoting, all types of stuff because it's drawing more eyes. And then when you start talking about, so the mom is just, hey, I'm known to be a funny guy. It's in meme culture. Like they're taking meme swings as much as they're taking song swings. And then fast forward to this weekend, what really prompted us like getting on the mic, and now there's been another couple back and forths. Drake then drops the same day Taylor Swift drops her album, a tailor-made freestyle on his Instagram.
Yeah, okay. And so let's talk about that because that was pretty, what now is being characterized as innovative because he used AI to mimic Tupac and Snoop Dogg, which I thought the Tupac lines were unimpressive. I mean, like...
What do you mean?
I mean, I just thought that they were weak, and I don't know anything about Tupac to be weak, but that's like a little beside. That's a little.
Because the only thing it was Tupac's voice on AI. It wasn't Tupac's lyrics or
that's
his
my
mindset.
point. And so, anyway, that can get
Even was supposed to sound very Dr. Dre-ish, like
right. So anyway, but that gets into this conversation that I asked you over the phone, which is like, and Michael, you know this because you're a genius on Capitol Hill. Legally, I'm not a lawyer, but like, aren't you like stealing someone's likeness, right? And like putting words in their mouth? I mean, it seems like to me that there's going to have to be, I mean, there's not any sort of legislation that's been passed on Capitol Hill specific to AI, but it seems like that's got to be expedited.
So
and
that
put
could
on
also be a
fast track.
parody, because I think he could also claim, like, think about the people who go and do impressions of other people and then put them on comedy albums, put them in specials, play them on sketches. There's a whole, I mean, Saturday Night Live, Mad TV, and Living Color, all these things are built, the Dave Chappelle Show, all those things are built on that freedom, those freedoms that exist for like parody and comedy.
But AI is so much more sophisticated. I can have an image that looks exactly like you. I can have an audio that sounds exactly like you. I mean, it's on a whole nother scale. I mean, that's why the whole world's freaking out about it.
It's clear that the game is changing when it comes to AI. When it comes to the capacity for this technology, it's beyond clear. And if there's anything in which like Washington lawmakers and lawmakers around the country are not known for, is it's moving quickly.
Absolutely.
And
especially on sophisticated questions
and
like
this is sophisticated,
the internet.
Complicated.
They're like,
and
what's this internet thing?
And by the time people get a chance to come around it, the people who are responsible for legislating it, the technology will have changed and got far more sophisticated,
right.
and more accessible to more people. That's part of the reason why it's so complicated.
And being weaponized
now.
in all these different ways. We've seen already in the 2024 presidential campaign and election where DeSantis has used Donald Trump's likeness in one of his campaign ads.
That's a great point. And think about how like when all of we've all been in politics or longer than we probably care to admit.
No, listen, I was doing my civic
he's like,
duty.
yeah. You was baby. You started politics 5 years old.
And I'm only 35.
3 or 4 years ago. But
yes.
When we were coming up, we were talking about things like the fairness doctrine.
Yeah.
As FEC and legal standards on how we manage campaigns. What we talk about the fairness doctrine now, that was back in the day when the mode of communicating was on the radio and getting on TV and airtime. Now the mode of communicating
and
is
the fairness doctrine is when you have fair time.
Equal time.
Right.
If you're on broadcast TV, then you
equal
need
time between Democrats and
Democrats, Republicans, between different sides. Okay, well, there's no need for fairness doctrine at this point in time because getting your message out is via your turning your phone around or turning it on either direction and making your point, and the people will share that however they want to. What's the point of the fairness doctrine at that point in time? It's outdated.
Right.
But if the technology on something like AI and whatever the future AIs will be are moving forward, where is public policy supposed to fit in that type of space?
Yeah.
I mean, they got to come up with guardrails because, like, what I think this is going to showcase quick. I'm curious to where this just dropped on Friday.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the stories because Snoop is alive and well.
Oh, and by the way, the next Speaker of the House is a hip hop head, Mr. Jeffries.
Let me just
right. So I'm sure he's probably aware of
I wonder
Drake's
if he got. That'd be funny if we
should get the speaker on here, the next Speaker of the House.
No, but when I think about like Snoop is alive and well, Tupac's family now has an estate. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they've got like the Afeni Shakur Foundation. I'm not sure. I've met his sister before. She was actually just here in August during the 50th anniversary of hip hop. But so I'm pretty sure they are going to explore this. We don't know if Drake has already done some pre-work and like hit them off with something and they agreed to it. I find it hard to believe that they would and want to put his name in like this beef. So maybe his lawyers told him he could get away with it. Maybe he just didn't give a damn. You know what I mean?
Or maybe it's just murky. I mean, there's no clarity on it at all.
No,
so
but I'm saying
why not go out there and like apologize later, right?
That's not a move. It's like Drake didn't do that in a vacuum where it's like,
nobody's
nobody's going to hear
lawyers
this.
were. I'm sure the lawyers were involved.
He either said, I don't give a damn, and I'm going to drop it, and then because Snoop is alive and well.
Lawyers could say like there's no clarity in the law about this issue.
So I'm pretty sure because I'm curious to hear the follow-up stories of like suing. They're gonna make that public quickly. Like Snoop's team, I can't imagine like, oh, let's just handle this behind the scenes and not say something. Like he's gonna, if he hasn't already said something by now, he's gonna say something. His lawyers will go after it. I think the House of Shakur's lawyers will go after it. Maybe take it down. That's why he didn't look to profit off of it. Put it on Instagram. Like so, Drake is being real devious about. And even if it just comes out and goes away, like say he pulls it down. The damage is done in the sense of like he has however many 100 million followers on Instagram. The moment he puts it up, like I just looked at it just now, it had like 2.5 million likes. Yeah. So,
well, the point is that this is a much larger problem for society, not just in hip hop, but definitely we're seeing it in politics. It's everywhere, and so it's going to create this environment. I think that's just going to continue to further raise questions about what is the truth, what is real anymore. I mean, it's going to be pretty incredible.
Who
All
do
right,
you
let's
think,
get back.
before you question.
Yeah.
Who do you think out of that first round,
Of what?
when you heard Like That,
Yes.
Drake's first diss,
Yeah.
Drake's 2 diss, Taylor Made and his push-ups, and Rick Ross. First, who had the best song? Which one of those 4 songs is the best
It's
song?
absolutely Like That. Like That is still the best song in this whole beef.
Yeah.
You think Like That? Okay,
Like it's the
just
best
as a song.
Just as a
All right,
song,
number 2.
it's
Let's
the
go
most
top
relevant.
5. Top 5.
There's only 4 songs.
Oh, sorry. Listen, that's why I turned the conversation over to y'all on that one. I was like, I love Like That. I stopped at that. I stopped at Like That.
We could say, because now
You got the remix.
there's a
of
Like That remix. Kanye
which I thought
just,
Pusha T had the best lines on.
I think we need to wait for the official, because the Pusha T version that's out
Yeah.
has a bad Kanye version. But
Okay.
Kanye dropped a new version that doesn't have Pusha T. But it has a new verse from Future,
This really is a great transition to my final question.
which is
And that is that, like, all beefs aren't bad, right? Like, there's been some incredible music that's come out of rap beats.
I think
right?
that's
Like,
a very
the
privileged
one-
way to look at
No,
it.
no, no.
We don't know who
one
got
that-
beat up behind the scenes.
No. I'm just in terms of
Well,
musically.
what does
let me give
Biggie
you-
what does Biggie think about this? Or
No, I'm talking just musically.
What's their
in
position?
terms of, like, there is some value that we get as fans of music,
Consumers,
right?
yeah.
I mean, literally, I still quote The Takeover. You know,
But
we don't believe
But I
you
think
need
that's-
more people. I mean, like,
is
so anyway,
that
so,
having a disassociation? Think about what
Yeah.
you just said. Like, we do get good music out of it.
Sure.
Like, Hit 'Em Up is a hard ass
oh
song.
my God, amazing.
But would I trade Hit 'Em Up
So I
not
really wanna-
existing for Tupac to still live? Yes.
or Biggie to still live.
Or Biggie to still
No,
live?
no, of course, that's not even the question, though. So what
Well,
I
that's
was
part of
really
the
getting
question.
at, what I was really getting at is, like, I want y'all to tell me, like, your best rap battles, rap beefs in terms of, like, the music that came out of them. I told you mine. It was like Nas, Jay-Z. I still quote The Takeover.
I mean, you know, what's funny for me on the Jay-Z and Nas beef was one of the most relevant ones, and for me, especially when I was in high school when that came out. I grew up in New Jersey, so listening to Hot 97, it was very, very relevant and present for me at that point in my life. And I was a Nas fan, although Nas had fallen off, which is part of the reason why him and Jay had their beef.
Right.
Why Jay decided to go at him. I was a huge Mobb Deep fan.
Did you think
still
strategically
am.
it was a good move for Jay-Z, right?
I think
Obviously, it elevated him.
I thought it was,
too.
yeah, it elevated him, and you know, he was, you know, we're kind of dealing with similar, like some of the same arguments that people talk about Drake right now. Oh, Jay-Z too commercial, Jay too big.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, Nas had been weakened because he hadn't made any hits in a while. He hadn't made nothing
And
that
he
was
was living
the
his life.
streets
He was
relevant.
married.
He was doing his thing, but you know,
Right.
and it kind of, you know, that beef kind of spurred them both to get better.
What was your favorite song that came out of that?
Oh,
beef?
that Ether. Ether
yeah.
was the best song. And then Ether killed Jay. And even though Jay came back with he came back with what was Jay's record that after
Super Ugly.
Super Ugly. It wasn't.
Yeah, that's.
But it was very potent.
It was potent. But everyone
I slept with
remembers
your
it.
baby mom. I slept with your
Yeah.
baby mom in
Yeah.
the backseat of the car.
It's the Colin Powell doctrine.
Yeah, but we talk about Ether. Ether. We still use the term Ether to describe when someone get killed in a rap battle.
Oh,
Today,
yeah.
20 almost 30 years later, we over here talking about that.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, Cam.
My favorite, you guys, is a hometown favorite, and y'all probably, I guarantee you're probably not
E40?
hip to this. No, I'm from Cleveland, born in Chicago, but raised in Cleveland.
Are you gonna say Bone and 3-6?
No, that
no.
wasn't real music. You said favorite that produced the best song or
That
music.
you
I
felt
like.
like produced really high
It
quality
was
music.
MGK, Machine Gun Kelly versus Eminem, and Rap Devil by MGK. To me, is my second favorite. Next to his like Cleveland, he has a Cleveland anthem called "Bitch I'm From the," like it's called "Bitch I'm From the Land." Like it's that was a platinum single, but talking about Cleveland. But so that's my favorite MGK song. But my second favorite is Rap Devil, and there was a whole back and forth. Like no one gets Eminem to drop like two diss songs and come out of hiding. This was only what 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Obviously, it's two white rappers, so it's not. And MGK is known, but he's known like he's done rock and is like crossed over to TV and movies and like dating what's her name, Megan Fox. Like he's in a home, but he still raps. Like he's signed to Bad Boy Records like as a rapper. He still he just put out a collab rap album with Trippie Redd, Rap and Rock. But for Eminem to have to address him twice, because his I'll let you play it for you, but it's like stinging bars. You would think there's nothing to come at Eminem. He talks about like so much about Eminem, compliments him and then like tears him down. The beat is hard.
You gotta play it for me.
Yeah, like and it got super popular.
You're familiar?
Went platinum.
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I went platinum, and I mean, and as hometown, like that's me rapping from my hometown.
I didn't
love
even
Eminem.
know Machine Gun Kelly was from
I
Cleveland.
didn't even know,
he's
I didn't
super
know
from Cleveland.
Machine
Like,
Gun Kelly was a rapper.
yes.
Speaking of beefs, you remember that LL Cool J Cannabis beef?
Yeah.
And one of the hardest lines in all of rap beef was when LL, and I was a Cannabis fan, right? That's the type of rap fan I was back in the day. And when LL said 99% of your fans don't exist, that's what Ashley over here is saying about Machine. Like 99% of Machine Kelly songs don't. Who is he? That's what, so
Just because you don't know, like he's big. I mean, he's big in his pockets.
No, it says more about me than him.
I don't know. I don't know.
Kelly.
I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
No.
But that kind of
you.
goes to show how, like, when we talking about this Kendrick beef and this Drake. Now Kendrick is a far bigger star than Machine Gun Kelly is.
In comparison to this is one of the first only beefs that has had this big of heavyweights and since Jay-Z Nas.
Heavyweights in their prime
But
and their
it is
relevance.
also
Prime,
different
yeah.
to me, and
Relevance.
tell me if I'm wrong, where you have multiple artists going after one artist. Is that not?
I think different people.
Different?
Well, on the lower level, because
Yeah.
right now we're talking about this beef because it's good music and it's music that's like of the biggest caliber and artists. There's a ton of rap beef going on right now that's actually leading to these, or beef that is being rapped about when you start talking about drill music in New York and up top, drill music out of Chicago, like I'm smoking on my ops, like things that are getting people shot in Memphis, all around Atlanta, down in Florida.
Young
It's
Dolph,
bad.
yeah.
Those songs are not breaking
Well,
through.
let's
So
talk about
here
that.
and there.
Why is that not breaking through?
First of all, I would say
especially people are like
the
there's
music.
violence
I would say it's
associated
the
with it.
musicality and the wide, like it's not. They're not hit songs. They're songs that some of them every now and then catch a little buzz. They're local. I mean, you can go and look up Chicago drill or something like that and find a bunch of rappers who are not really on. They're all, but now with a phone, with your homie,
Totally.
with CapCut on your program, you can make videos. I can hold my guns, sit around. Chief Keef really, I think, revolutionized that for like when he did I Don't Like with a bunch of his like dusty looking dudes in dreads, like pour in somebody's grandma's kitchen, 20 of them, and then that blows up and becomes a multi-platinum song.
Yeah.
Like that sound and look has now translated to so much of music that's like a whole pocket over here. But I think it stays over here because fans who watch it, like white folks or like people who are not in those situations who are watching it, and that may drive some interest, but it takes a lot to break through. This is still the music business. It's about hit songs and you liking the songs. The reason you like the songs, for a lot of reasons. It can be marketed to you. You really like the person and you've grown to like them and other things they do, so the music is there, but those songs are not catching because these are not real stars.
No, I got it. But I was just saying, I'm just surprised that we've not talked about like this beef sort of equaling violence, you know, and even, you know, in these markets and
it's crazy to think about, not to interrupt,
genres that you're referring to.
Yeah, we rap has a unique issue in this, and it's sad that that's at that point. And I don't want to be all on some like, oh, rap got to change. I mean, we all know what need to happen, but what other genre of music has had so many important, relevant stars in the active parts of their careers being gunned down by other rap fans, essentially, because of the street beef stuff? This is something that we've been dealing with in this space for a very, very, very long time. Biggie and Tupac are the most notable examples, and those are household names.
Yeah.
But we've had all sorts of people being killed in rap over beefs or perceived beefs, and that's something that we gotta. So when Cam was saying earlier about his produces the music, it does produce that music, but you know the game has changed too, and to the point that both of y'all are making, I think it's important to keep in mind that there are people who want to get on. They want to be associated with rappers. They want to be associated with crews and sets and things like that. And your ability to be a part of that is greater now because you have more access to like what you know where people are at in real time.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait till they come to town on a tour or on a concert. They people go on live. They like, here's where I'm at. Pull up.
And they perpetuate it.
They perpetuate
right?
it for good and bad.
Yeah,
But when bad is happening, bad comes around quick too.
Sure.
But I think the thing we can't excuse or look over is it's not that it's rap. Rap is a cultural expression and it's an outlet for people in general. So in the sense of rap is just a medium that people are using to express themselves. That doesn't necessarily mean this is rap and hip hop of like this is where the overall culture is. And I hate that it's being defined. It's just like I had a problem. Say hip hop doesn't exist. I'm in this crew. I got guns. I'm selling. I'm doing whatever crime I'm doing over in my little crew, and we're beefing with somebody over on a few blocks away on 78th Street, and we're on 71st Street, and this is our crews. We're beefing no matter what, and like there's real stuff going on. Maybe people are gunplay, fighting, shooting, whatever, turf, whatever it is. We exist here. Cameras, easy beats I can get off of YouTube, easy. Like understanding that rap exists and I know how to rhyme words together, all those opportunities, and the example that people from my perceived example, no matter where I'm at, anywhere USA, and I feel this way, my perceived example is that I have a bunch of people who were just like me in a situation that just start rapping and making music, talking about what they're seeing and doing, and they eventually got discovered. Usually they're not putting all the other things that it takes to really break out and be a star, in addition to the talent that's needed in the songs. But rap is just a convenient expression piece for people who are living in a situation. So I would argue it's still not the culture, as in like the culture necessarily is perpetuating. The culture has always been like hip hop and rap has always been known like seeing it in the streets. So this is just now there's just more young people who are more tech savvy, who have more tools to be able to say a thing. And this is how I can express it with the maybe back of my mind or front of my mind hopes of it changing their life. Also, they're looking to antagonize other people and want to be seen as tough. And social media cred, clicks, likes, all that matters in this day and age. That's currency to people. It shouldn't be. I mean, an OG will tell you that, but a lot of them don't have that OG. That's the point they're at in their teens and their early 20s and stuff where that matters. So it's like I hate that rap and hip hop is being bumped like, is this what the music is coming to? It's like, nah, it's just more people. There's more opportunity for people to make it. And this is one of the easiest things they perceive as a thing to express something that exists no matter if music was here or not.
And I mean, rap leans into the violence of it in ways in which other black music has not. This is not an indictment on rap. It just is. It's a fact, right? But it's not like violence in the black community is only a rap thing, like you're talking about. Think about like Barry White is a well-known gangster before he was big in rap. Before he was big in singing. He was a gang member, right? But Barry White ain't never had no rap record, right? When James Brown said, "I don't know karate, but I know Carazer," right? That's violence too, right? He talking, people are, the black community is not we not away from violence. Violence has been something that we've been inflicted with, but it's not simply because of rap. But rap does lean into that. I was going to say earlier when Ashley was asking the question, I thought about it. The music that comes out from the good music that comes out as a result of rap beef, and on this point of the violence, and like one of my favorite albums of all time is "Bulletproof" by Young Dolph, which is an album inspired by him being shot at 100 times, right, and surviving. Not according to Dolph, not having one scratch on him. Right now, think about how pertinent that is to this point, because Young Dolph was killed in gun violence in his own city, right? Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. So great art, 100 Shots.
That's to me
in Charlotte.
100 Shots might be is like his second best album.
Yeah, and that's some of the best music of the last 10 years that's come out in rap. It's definitely not the biggest chart in music in rap, but rap fans love Dolph.
No, you're right.
Young Dolph.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna close out with this one question. How do we get that old thing back? Like, I literally want to know. I mean, absent violence. Let's take violence out of it.
Let's take violence out of it.
No, because we're all adults. I mean, literally, we should be able to function and move like adults. These are adult, grown men that we're talking about. And they should ultimately conduct themselves that way and make sure this is not violent at all. So, okay, let's accept that it will not be violent at all. Can we get that old thing back? Over time,
old thing you mean like Rick Ross and Drake on a song again?
Yeah, I mean, any of these guys. I mean, all these guys have created music together.
They've done.
All
Rick
these
Ross
guys
is almost 50. Drake almost 40. Like, do we want?
No.
Rick
What I'm
Ross,
saying
Drake
is,
music?
all of these guys have created music together, like in duos. I mean, name any one of them. They've all paired together. What I'm saying is, like, how do we get that old thing back? Is that even possible?
With this group of people, I don't think so.
Why?
And also, let's also think about what this is. This is a bunch of 30-plus-year-old dudes. Everybody in this, maybe Metro might not be 30 yet.
Maybe close.
30, really damn near 40-year-old plus. Like, Future just turned 40. You know what I mean? Drake is damn near 40. Kendrick is mid to late 30s. All of them are hella rich. Yeah. Rick Ross is in his late 40s.
We talking about dudes who've been in, and we talking about all dudes here.
Even Pusha T is in his mid to late 40s.
These dudes been in rap for 20 years.
15, right. 20 plus years.
Yeah.
All of these people are up tens of millions, if not $100+
kind
million.
Hustling. We coming up on the 20-year anniversary of Hustling.
So none of these things, I would say that I'm making all those points to say that, like, they don't have to ever make music again. They're so, like, the newness of what hip-hop is, of what's going to be new and relevant, like, it'll be embraced through other people. Like Drake jumping on the Four Bats, the hottest little young R&B, thug R&B, whatever, and he just jumped on that remix. That was the craziest song right before this beef dropped. That was like his Drake's new hot feature. I'm tapping this new young one. Like, J. Cole has a whole stable of artists who are like, from the Earth Gangs to the Ari Lennoxes and Boz, who are coming up behind him. Like, Future has Doughboy from Cleveland, like, new gangster rapper that's been buzzing and stuff like that. Like, they're already trying to, like, create, and plus all the other young stars and stuff like that. So when you say the old thing back, I think it's okay for niggas not to like each other. Like, it's just okay. I mean, at this point, they all have enough money, power, own fan bases to just be in their own camps. They can shoot at each other at the top, and it's just something for us to argue about, like we are right now on camera, and talk about. But it actually, you're not getting that back. Like, the old thing, if you want like Jay-Z famously said, you want to hear the OJ, listen to my old music. Like listen to my old albums. Like, yeah. They got enough music for you to go back to, but now you better get used to them talking to somebody else.
The old thing back. I agree with you that the old thing back is going to be new artists who are more current, who are upcoming in the game, taking the reins and rap. This is almost like, to me, it's like the last hurrah, right? Not the last. It's not exactly the last hurrah, because Drake.
J. Cole still make new music. Kendrick probably has another 1 or 2 albums of relevance in him. Mm-hmm. Drake definitely has, even if Drake falls off halfway, but we have seen in music, you could fall all the way off quick as fuck.
Absolutely.
Like, your albums could be huge, and then next thing they're not. Too many people are invested in Drake for Drake to fall all the way off anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, no more collabos, then, is what we're saying.
Not
between
with these
any
folks.
Of these guys.
But
That's
it's funny.
What I'm asking.
I'm sorry, and it's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. As a Cleveland person, and like look at someone like LeBron. LeBron at a long point in his career when he was doing it himself and found himself only be able to achieve certain things. Went to the finals, got swept. Totally. And then eventually he's like, okay, I need to start getting other players around me. That's when he went to the Heat. But then he started being like, okay, I need some young blood around me. Went back to Cleveland. Kyrie was there. He as he started doing his own collabs in his own career.
Right.
As you're looking like someone like Drake, with Future at one point in time, with 21 Savage now, trying to maintain relevancy at different points, with The Weeknd at one point in time, trying to always tapping into the youth, into new sounds, new styles of music. When Drake started started doing the house music and the dance music, trying to collaborate with those type of people. But I don't know how long he's got in doing that.
Yeah.
I think as long as he moves units, it moves numbers.
And it's
Drake
all
is
about
there.
the
I would,
numbers.
but at the same time, I would dare to say that, like, because I don't know who I want to choose. Because if I had to not exist with who's on one side versus one other side, I would say I would actually go with Future and Metro and so forth. There's just more artists over there, and it's like, it's more variety of music to listen to. I don't know who's won yet because I think Drake is up right now until Kendrick comes back.
Yeah.
But I think Drake is kind of up, but not really. Maybe Future in them. Actually, Future to me is up because he basically has had 2 number 1 albums, number 1 song in the country. Future is up. That's who's really up, not Kendrick. Kendrick versus Drake. Drake is winning.
Yeah,
right now.
We talking about.
But who's
Kendrick
winning
on a future
track
Metro, and a future album?
Yeah. So to me, Future is winning above everybody right now. Then comes Drake after that. Then I say Kendrick. Then Metro Boomin, and then Rick Ross. But Metro Boomin got so out of hand dismissed, like shut your whole ass up and make some drums. That was like so out of hand, like because all it can is go make
Drake's disses towards everyone he talking about have all been real potent and real fucked up. He been saying real fucked up things about people, and that's true. But in terms of the music and I ain't really heard no one bumping no Drake song in this beef, right? Although all the things Drake have been saying have been real cutting. So like it reminds me of the Jay beef when Jay said some real stuff about Nas. And it was real embarrassing, but we don't talk about Jay's contributions to that beef no more because Nas hit him so bad and so early that it didn't really matter how bad he came at him. And I think that's the same thing with Drake here too. These songs that Drake is putting out, they real, but they're not relevant. People ain't listening to him like that. Clearly we can see the impressions that people listening to him.
Yeah.
But are they going to be songs that the thing I think in the
like that it's definitely got shelf life.
Yeah,
Clearly.
like I could see myself
you pointed that out earlier.
To that.
People want to listen to like that regardless of whether how they like Drake or not because it's a great beat and Kendrick is one of his best
if
verses.
You're unaware of what's going on, like you're not fazed by.
So Drake needs another back-to-back type of song. He needs a song that's just a dope song.
I love
that happens to diss them or disses them. But I think if Drake is smart, he probably doesn't do more than another one diss track. He's smart. If Kendrick is smart, he's dropping an album. Kendrick needs to use this momentum to drop. He's on it. He's independent or doing his own thing. He needs to drop an album.
Yeah.
So that he shouldn't just drop a single and do what he shouldn't be baited into that. Like drop your album and have a diss song and some shots throughout the album.
Yeah.
But you've built up more anticipation for yourself right now than you ever have before in recent years. So you need to drop the album. Drake shouldn't. I think Drake can go in, but after a while, if there's no real response there, it's like, I guess, do you shoot everything and say all the things you know? But I think Drake is waiting to continue to respond until he hears something from Kendrick. Future just got his off. Future don't have to do it. First of all, Future's not like a diss record. He just put 2 albums out that are essentially the entire scope of the album, even though the second one is an R&B album. And he's talking about, he has little shots in there, but it's just like, I made an album about not fucking with
Streets Made Me King is one of his best songs of all time. Streets Made Me King is fire. The last song on the last album, that song is fire.
You got to listen to it.
I need to go back.
And you can tell that even though he does, I don't know if he specifically disses Drake on that song, but it's clear he's like, hey, y'all talking about who's the best in rap, and look at what my contributions in rap have been. And the Streets Made Me King. So
I think it all dies down. I think there's another week of this chatter.
Yeah.
Drake may have one more stunt in him, like the tailor-made freestyle type of thing. I think Kanye coming back with his Pusha T may have pushed Drake back. I just know, but at the end of the day, I don't see anybody unless Drake is they catch him and say he's done something super horrifying, vile. Maybe if they talk about his sexuality or something like that, or I don't know, he did something wrong, so wrong that hasn't been exposed. You just calling them things. The White Boy is funny, but does it make you not listen to a Drake album? But you know who?
And it's sophomoric too, but it's funny.
It reinforces this narrative about him, right? I think it's.
But if that White Boy puts out another banger where you're just
and it's something that
but ultimately you'll still get the reaction that I got from my male friends when I said I'm putting on Drake, which is this sigh of disappointment.
No, that's. I think you misdiagnosed why people do that. I can understand a bunch of dudes is because it's like Drake is amazing music. He has great songs. We all like a Drake song or two, or a verse or a hook or all that stuff. Drake is on too much music that is too popular
and too relevant.
But it's also like you putting on not elevator music, but you putting on like
totally.
I gotta hear this everywhere.
It's ubiquitous.
It's like if I'm gonna be chilling, Beyonce's not the same. I could listen to Beyonce.
No, I mean
Drake is a little shallower, a little less. It's like,
but just know some people feel the same way about B too.
You know.
And
I'm sorry.
You kind of have to start liking her music because they play it ad nauseum everywhere you go.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I mean, clearly it's not a coincidence when Kendrick on his record was compared himself to Prince and compared Drake to Michael Jackson. And no one, I can't imagine why anyone would find being compared to Michael Jackson to be a diss, but that was the essence of Michael Jackson and Prince's beef too. That Michael Jackson, Prince had hits.
Sure.
Kendrick Lamar has hits.
Sure.
But Michael Jackson is the biggest selling recording artist of all time.
Yeah.
But even at that point in time, people said that Prince was more authentic towards music, was more musical, better musicality
right,
of it,
was
more authentic, and which
art.
killed Michael Jackson. Sure. Michael Jackson, your musicality. The reason why my music is popular because it's good music. And so people buy it because it's good music. And Prince is like, well, why everyone talking about me as an artist, right? And that's why Prince leaned into the artistry, and Michael leaned into the making hits. And the
point is that's who they both are authentically. That's who they are.
And that's why we're at the point right now with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Up until a couple of days ago, when we were talking about who are the top rappers in rap now, you would say Drake because Drake is the most popular rapper in rap, but people would very rarely ever say that Drake is the best lyricist in rap. One, because people don't associate Drake with writing his own lyrics.
Yeah.
So from a lot of point in rap,
right.
people are not going to give
Same
anyone, they're not going,
versus Prince.
Versus Prince. So the people didn't see Michael Jackson playing his own instruments,
right?
So they didn't associate Michael Jackson with being as good of an artist as Prince was.
Right.
People know that, Drake is open about having a cadre of ghostwriters and collaborators similar to Kanye at this point in his career. So they're not going to associate. You can't be the best, in an old school way, you can't be the best in rap if you don't write your own lyrics.
Right.
We associate Kendrick with writing his own lyrics. Therefore, he can be on the perch of being the best in rap.
Right.
And you know who can never ascend to that
and
perch?
Barack Obama said it, so it must be true, by the way. Get back to politics.
No, but I will say this. There's all these winners, but the one person who lost, J. Cole. J. Cole.
All right,
I went back to listen to first person.
Note.
Exactly.
Let's wrap on that note.
Because I dare any listener.
You had a little tear that came down your cheek.
Exactly,
I remember that.
Because I love J. Cole. But I dare any listener or any viewer.
But he's a peacemaker.
Just go back and listen to First Person Shooter again. It definitely don't hit the same.
It don't hit the same. We might be at a different point. I don't know if we're going to have future rap beef at this level of superstars, because I think the next set of superstars, they're going to be motivated by different things. The folks, the young kids coming up in rap, I think we was talking about earlier how things have changed in rap. You talked about someone attacking Drake's sexuality, for example. When we were all coming up, the idea of there being like a gay rapper or a gay popular black artist in music was unheard of. Nowadays, artists can, like, their sexuality can be, they can be open with who they are more so. They can be more fluid with who they are. I look at someone like Young Thug can be on a record wearing a dress regardless. Young Thug talks about being straight, right? But back in 1999, would a rapper of Young Thug, and Young Thug's on trial right now for his life for murder and RICO charges and conspiracy, but would a rapper of that level of prominence be on a record with a dress? Would they be wearing gender different? Would they wear their hair like that and like paint their nails? No. They wouldn't do that nowadays. Like, an artist like Frank Ocean, who's not in rap but like openly bisexual.
That wouldn't, like, you're basically saying like now future beef won't even, the things that could attack you won't even really be able to attack you because this is a new generation.
Like things like that. I like.
That's not considered as big of an insult. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm dubious to see, like, I don't know how much more you can insult. It's just about.
That's
to me,
why
it's
I
about
thought
being
the
clever.
white boy was so potent.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the other insults were typical insults that would just.
We would be insulted if Kendrick Lamar called Drake a white boy. That would be like beneath him. But Rick Ross calling him white boy, we ride with that because that makes sense for Rick Ross to say that about Drake.
But do you believe it to be true about him? Is the point?
I mean, he's not white. We know he's not white. We know he's not a white boy.
But I believe it stings.
I mean,
it stings at a different level.
But an owl. I mean, also, you know,
On that note.
right?
On that
I mean,
note,
it's the corny element, right? White boys are associated with being corny. Like, it's.
Oh, do you say the owl is corny?
Okay, all right, rap. Yes, definitely corny. It's like buying a girl a Birkin. Corny.
Wait,
you
that's
know
corny?
what I mean?
That's corny.
I mean, that's one of the shots that are thrown at Drake. Is that he's, you know, what do you call
All
it?
right,
What's the phrase?
let's end the question
rap
with
here.
you. Let's end the question with you. Is buying a girl a Birkin corny?
No, not at all. But I'm
Do you
saying
want a
that
Birkin?
was no, I don't. I'm not that kind of girl. But I mean, listen, love a bag, and you know, if you love a Birkin, that's great. And everybody, if you want one, you deserve it, and you should get it, right? But what I'm saying is that was an insult that was lobbed at Drake, that he's soft, that he's a girl's guy, right? You know what I mean?
And they've been saying that about Drake since he got in rap.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, I only said it for that reason. All right, goodbye, good night. I love you both. I gotta go.
Now you gotta go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. This has been an interesting conversation.
Sorry.
A very fun, enticing. I like this. I
I mean, listen, have me back again.
I
Thank
have
you
you
for
guys
having me.
both back. We
Yes.
get more people on the couch. But with that, this has been another episode of the working title, I guess, is like the Capital Couch. No, that sounds too wild. No,
Yeah.
the Capital Cipher. But with that, and but we'll talk to you later. Hit politics, baby. Peace. Is that all? You're hilarious. You just can't. You really want to.
Hip politics, baby.